Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer with Oculus Rift Reviews. Today we're gonna try to review A Ton of Feathers. How do you review A Ton of Feathers? This game has really mystified me. I'm not sure I can really do a good job of reviewing this game. I barely understand it. It almost feels autobiographical, and a lot of the themes are about game development, about the meaning of life, about anger, disappointment, loneliness, depression, a whole host of emotions, thoughts, some of them nonsensical, some of them sensical, and it's about everything and it's about nothing. It's really out there. Some of the stuff you'll see just will make no sense to you, and it's almost as if the author, the developer, is maybe just talking to himself, and you're just listening in on the story.
I'm going to bet a bit more than that. Yes, how about I'm all in? But you don't have to laugh at me in that way. Am I so pitiful that you have to smear it in my face like that? Yes, yes, you frightened me. You hurt me. I felt your claws ripping through my soul. Yes, I'm going to die someday, but before then I'm going to have to face you eyeball to eyeball. You swept into this town like a plague. I let you have everything. My time, my words, my voice, my love. I'm lost in this metropolis of fractured endless industry you've created around a speck of truth I thought I could be a part of. I came here to tell you that I gave you Angelina in exchange for nothing. You're a cargo cult devoted to the relics of a people you don't understand, couldn't understand.
When this game first released, it cost $20, and obviously it didn't sell well. This is an artistic VR experience. You're basically just watching what's going on in front of you. This is mostly cinematic. There's a few basic interactions, but the interactions aren't really important, and they're very simple. And it's just like you're seeing a bunch of crazy visuals.
Mom taught preschool. She said the kids would color with crayons, then put black crayon all over the top of the drawing. She speculated that the black crayon felt powerful to them and was fun to use. She did not like sending kids home ugly black-colored scribbles, so she started collecting all the black crayons before having them do coloring. You can see how Wolfenstein and Battlezone got turned into awful games with storylines no one enjoys. Game designers they feel they must tell a story once they get high color and memory.
And the visuals are trippy. It might cause an epileptic seizure if you're susceptible to that, so beware of this game, that you will have all kinds of visual effects, not all of them pleasant, thrown at you. So this is a mostly cinematic experience. It's 26 minutes long. It's artsy, it's confusing, it's art. And you can interpret it any way you want. This is what I can tell you for sure. I enjoyed the experience, and I honestly felt like $2 is an absolute steal for this experience, but it's not for everyone. Not everyone will enjoy this. In fact, it might be unpleasant at times, and it was unpleasant at times with some of the visual effects.
Remove the plug behind you. This is the last one. It's time for you to move on. I went out to stay with my cousins. They picked me up from the airport in Texas. It was dark by the time I landed. It was a cheap flight, and we were packed in so close, and then suddenly I was in the cold night air being greeted by people I'd never met. But we acted like we knew each other with something more than Facebook posts and a birthday where I was too young to remember anything more than the green jelly we had. We drove back to the ranch, my uncle, me, and 2 cousins. It was so dark, and I was trying to construct a world outside the window. The neighbor's house was burning. It was lighting up the sky like a second sunset. There was panic. We drove past, and a few objects laid out on the grass, and people stand clutching blankets. We didn't slow down, and went back. We returned to a few beer cans my uncle had started before picking me up. We went to bed early. I was exhausted. My cousins came in a few minutes after the lights were out. They wanted to see the burnt house. Not wanting to disappoint them, I agreed to go. Sneaking out of the house wasn't too hard, as my uncle was already unconscious in the living room. We arrived at the house where the house once was. It was only a few embers now. We could still feel the heat. We stood there for what felt like too long, not saying anything and starting to shiver as the night air cut through the Walmart polyester pajamas I had packed in my small bag. As we stood there, we started to see shapes that moved anonymously in the tree line, not too far away. My cousin, I don't remember which, turned his flashlight on. The reflection of 8 deers' eyes shone back. They were resting in the ash. Perhaps on this freezing night with no mother, the young deers would have died from cold. Even in this tragedy that I couldn't quite understand, there was a great natural power to it that we all understood in that silent moment.
The game is running on the Unreal Engine, and the game ran rather poorly almost throughout. Usually it was running at 30 frames per second on my 1060 GTX, but it would vary quite a bit. Sometimes it would run at 90 frames per second, so I'm not sure exactly why it runs so poorly most of the time, then suddenly it would run okay. The sound work was very uneven. At times I could hear the dialogue crystal clear, and other times it was barely audible, and I could not tell at all what the dialogue was about. I'm still not sure if that was intended from the developer or not. Overall, though, I think this is a great deal. I think it's a great artistic experience in VR, and I highly recommend it, but it's not for everyone. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.